Christmas baubles, anyone? This is a stitch by stitch guide on how to complete my festive Christmas puddings. For this project you'll need at least 4 different colourways in a double knitting yarn that uses a 4mm needle. You'll need quite a selection of needles. You'll need 3.5mm double pointed needles, a 4mm circular needle, a selection of hooks in 3 and 4mm, so that's the hooks you need. Also some wadding to pad out the bauble and an embroidery needle. You can look and see what stash you already have. Here, for example, when I come to do the leaves, I'll be cheating. I'm just using 2 strands of 4-ply yarn there, but it's good if you, for best results, stick to double knitting yarn. So let's begin. Note that I'm using a different colourway for the hanging loop, so I've got a 5th colour involved here, and that's where we'll begin. So get your 3mm crochet hook and create a slip knot. Place that on your hook, and we're going to create a series of 50 chains, and you just pull through to create chain number 1, chain number 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 48, 49, 50. Fold this in half, go into the first chain, and join it together like so. Now set aside your hanging loop for a moment, get your 3.5mm double pointed needles and your colourway for the Christmas pudding top. So you fish through the first loop, but you keep this circle active, and it does become a bit tricky because I like to tension my hand and have all this ongoing, but something like this is fine. I then do like a yarn over, bringing the yarn over the top of the needle and down, and that creates the yarn over, and then I fish through the circle and I pull through a loop, meaning I've got 3 stitches there. I repeat that yarn over technique, go into the circle, pull through, that's 5, yarn over, into the circle, pull through, that's 7, yarn over, into the circle, pull through, that's 9, yarn over, pull through, that's 11 stitches so far. To make the final stitch I bring my yarn slightly forward and this time insert the needle into the back. I enter into the back of the circle or magic loop, and then I fish through the yarn like so, so that I then have 12 stitches, and then I just pull that through a little. I'm turning it so that I can fish 3, 4, 5, 6 stitches. I've got 6 stitches now on my needle like so, ready for working. Now what we want is the hanging loop to insert in the middle whilst we've got all this going on, which is a little bit fiddly, but it's not impossible. Now I'm happy to pull that yarn tight as I can get it. Really pull it in without snapping it, obviously. Now, being careful to select the working yarn, we're going to knit these 12 stitches. Now I'm showing this very slowly because I think even for experienced knitters this possibly will be a first. So that's one. I'm not working through the backs, I'm just knitting all of these stitches. 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, Now the last 2 stitches are kind of like grouping together, so just be aware of that. Right, there we go. We can put away these 3.5mm needles now and grab a 4mm circular needle, and we're going to knit another round. So again, make sure you grab the working yarn, not the starting yarn, and just work across the first 6 stitches, and we'll be using the magic loop technique whilst working rounds with our circular needle. And all this means is that we're really halving the work and using the nylon of the circular needle to enable the needle to work. So notice, look, I've bent the nylon so that I can swing the stitches over and knit with the right hand side of the needle. So there we go. We're on to our magic loop circular needle. So using an embroidery needle, I've tidied up those ends from the inside and ensured that I've got a nice clean result on the top before I carry on. So we're ready to get our bauble really started now. At this point I'm also introducing a marker. In this case it's just a little hanging loop so that I know the beginning and end point of the round. I'm going to bring the working needle around, bending the nylon, and we're going to begin what will be round 2. We're going to begin with the yarn forward, and all we have to do is make sure that the yarn is in front of the working needle, and then we're going to knit 1. That stitch will be worked through the back on the next round and will become a stitch, you'll see later. We're going to repeat that throughout. Yarn forward, knit 1, yarn forward, knit 1, yarn forward, knit 1, yarn forward, knit 1, yarn forward, knit 1. That's the first half. Now for the second half, pull that through, and then the working needle, now we can slip the first half section. Remember, bring that yarn in front that will create a nice loop that we can work into the back of on the next round. Knit one, yarn forward, 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 knit one. So that will be round 2. Prepare for the next round, bring all the stitches up. We can bring that through the working right needle, bring that through, slip the marker over. Now round 3, you see this is our first yarn forward. We're going to work into the back of the yarn forwards, like so, and knit one. This stops an eyelet forming. Knit one. Next stitch, work through the back. Knit one. 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 That's our first half. We're going to complete in exactly the same way for the next half. So remember, first stitch, work through the back, got a little bit crushed there, separate them. Next stitch, knit, work through the back of the next stitch and knit, work through the back of the next stitch and knit, and keep going to the end. So that's round 3 completed. Knit one, work through the back, 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 knit one. That's our first half. We're going to complete in exactly the same way for the next half. So remember, first stitch, work through the back, got a little bit crushed there, separate them. Next stitch, knit, work through the back of the next stitch and knit, work through the back of the next stitch and knit, and keep going to the end. So that's round 3 completed. Now for round 4. So move your marker over. We begin with the yarn forward, so just make sure the yarn is in front. This time we're knitting 4. So we've got the yarn forward there. 1, 2, 3, 4. Yarn forward. We're going to repeat by knitting 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. Yarn forward, work 4, 1, 2, 3, 4. Work the second half. Beginning with the yarn forward, remember, and knit 4, 1, 2, 3, 4. Yarn forward, knit 4, 1, 2, 3, 4. Yarn forward, work 4. So that's round 4 completed. Round 5, I've moved my marker over. The next stitch will be worked through the back. So again, actually I don't want the yarn in front, that will make another eyelet. So yarn to the back, knit 1 through the back of the loop and knit 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. Work through the back of the next stitch and knit 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. Work through the back and then knit 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. And repeat again for the next portion. Work through the back of the first stitch and knit 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. Work through the back, knit 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. Work through the back, knit 4, 2, 3, 4. So hopefully by now you can feel that this has got a bit of a flow going, and you probably will be able to predict what happens next. So round 6, just move my marker over. We're going to begin with a yarn forward. This time we're going to be yarn forward, knit 5. So yarn forward, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Yarn forward, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Yarn forward, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Repeat for the last half. Yarn forward, knit 5, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, yarn forward, knit 5, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, yarn forward, knit 5, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Round 7, we're going to work through the back of the loop of the first stitch here and knit 5, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and keep going with that repeat, knitting through the back of the loop of the first stitch and then knitting 5. Knitting through the back of our first stitch, knit 5. And repeat that for the second half. Pardon me. Knit through the back of the loop of the first stitch and knit 5. Knit through the back of the first stitch, knit 5. Knit through the back of the first stitch and end with knitting 5, and that's round 7. Round 8, yarn forward and this time knit 6, so that's 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, yarn forward, knit 6, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, yarn forward, knit 6. And repeat that again for the second half. So yarn forward, knit 6, yarn forward, knit 6, yarn forward, knit 6. Now that is the last set of increases that we're going to do on our bauble. Round 9, we're going to knit through the back of the first loop and knit 6. Knit through the back of the loop of the first stitch and then knit 6. Knit through the back of the loop and knit 6. and repeat that for the second half. So knit one through the back of the first stitch and knit 6. Knit one through the back, knit 6. Knit one through the back, knit 6. Now round 10 is a plain knit round, so we're going to work all the way around in a knitwise fashion for round 10. That's round 10 complete. We're on to round 11 now. I'd like you to get your second colourway, colour B, and we're going to join this yarn into our work and knit one in colour B. So let's bring the right needle around. Just simply knit that stitch there. Now grab your white yarn in the right hand and then knit. We're going to knit 6, but what I'm going to do after working 3 stitches, I've tensioned my right hand, now going to tension my left in a continental style, which I'm not the strongest, but where colour work is concerned, I'd really recommend you invest time in learning either style. So now I'm going to basically lift this brown yarn so that on my next white stitch I've caught the float into the back, so I'll be doing that on every 3rd white stitch. But don't panic. Hold the brown yarn to the back and knit a further 2, and what we're aiming for is 1 brown, 2, 4, 6 white stitches. We're going to repeat that throughout this entire round. So I'm going to knit one in the brown in my shaky continental style. I'm going to hold the brown towards the back. I'm going to knit 3 in the white, 1, 2, 3. Then in my 4th stitch I'm raising up this brown yarn to the back, or rather upwards, in order that I catch it once again so that the brown yarn travels with me whilst working in the round. Now let's work another 2, so we're again 1 brown, 2, 4, 6. Now we can do 1 brown stitch, so bring that round. Let me just tighten this up a bit. Pull that through, 3 stitches in the white in colour A, bring that upwards, catch it as we travel, there we go. 1 brown, 2, 4, 6 white. Perfect. Now we need to begin on the second half with 1 brown stitch. Which, as we're starting, I'm just going to do with my right, like so. Then just pick up the white and knit 3. I'm going to tension my left hand, tension my right. I'm lifting that up so that I can trap it at the back, 2, 4, and I want another 2. Then I'm holding the brown yarn away from me. One brown, 2, 4, 6. So now we're ready for 1 brown stitch, and holding that out of the way, we're going to work 3 in the white. Now I'm going to wrap my white yarn around the brown, and I'll hold the brown out of the way. So we've got 2, 4, 6, perfect. We want another brown. So I'm basically picking with my left hand the brown colour in a continental style, then working 3 in the white. Then I can bring this closer behind in order to trap it with the white yarn, like so. And then at the end of round 11 we'll end up, let's keep that out of the way, with a 1, 6, 1, 6, 1, 6. At the beginning of round 12 I'm just going to do a little knot on the brown before I start. And then let's just get going first. I'm going to use my right hand initially. Right, in the next round I'd like you to knit 2 in colour B, and then get the white, and we're going to knit, is that 4? Knit 4, 1, 2, and I'm going to tension my left hand and my right, and we can just get away with 4 stitches without having to catch it. So 1, 2, 3, but that's probably 5 stitches would be the maximum I would go. So all I'm going to do now is bring the brown through and knit 3. In my continental style. I'm holding that to the back, going to bring in the white, and I'm going to knit 4. Then in the brown, work 3. Now in the white, And so my knitting doesn't become too gathered in, I'm pulling those stitches nice and wide so that the yarns are not drawn in at the back just too much. 1, 2, 3, 4, and then our last stitch on the first half we'll knit 1 in the brown, and we'll repeat that all over again for the second half. So pulling that through, working 2 stitches initially, then work 4 in the white, and I'm going to tension my left hand, work 3 brown, now work 4 stitches in the white, and then 3 in the brown. Four in the white, ending with 1 brown. So next work 6 rounds in the brown knitwise, so 6 rounds of stockinette stitch. With 6 plain rounds completed, we can move on to the decrease sections for our little bauble. I'm going to call this round 1, and we are going to begin by knitting 2 together, knitting 5 and repeating that throughout. So knit 2 together, knit 5, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, knit 2 together, 2 there, look, bunched together, knit 5, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, knit 2 together, knit 5, and repeat that again for the second half. Knit 2 together, knit 5, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, knit 2 together, knit 5, knit 2 together, knit 5, Now, round 2 would be a plain knit round. So round 2, and this applies to rounds 4, 6, 8, etc., will all be worked knitwise. Now for round 3. Put my marker over. So again, we're going to do a familiar, what will seem familiar anyway, decrease. We're going to begin by knitting 2 together and then knitting 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. Knit 2 together, knit 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. Knit 2 together, knit 4. And repeat for the second section of the work. And again, begin by knitting 2 together and knitting 4. So knit 2 together, 1, 2, 3, 4, knit 2 together and knit 4. Knit 2 together, knit 4. And that completes round 3. Round 4 is a plain knit round. So weave in those loose ends and snip off what's not needed. Tidy it up while you can still turn the work around. After darning in those loose ends, whilst we can still go inside the work, we can then go on to work round 5. So knit 2 together and knit 3. 1, 2, 3. Knit 2 together and knit 3. And repeat that throughout. Knit 2 together and knit 3. And repeat it for the second half. Knit 2 together and knit 3. Knit 2 together, knit 3. After darning in those loose ends, whilst we can still go inside the work, we can then go on to work round 5. So knit 2 together and knit 3. 1, 2, 3. Knit 2 together and knit 3. And repeat that throughout. Knit 2 together and knit 3. and repeat it for the second half. Knit 2 together and knit 3. Knit 2 together, knit 3, 3, knit 2 together and knit 3, and that completes round 5. Round 6, knit throughout the entire row. Round 7, knit 2 together and knit 2, and repeat that throughout. Knit 2 together, knit 2, knit 2 together, knit 2. Repeat for the second half. Knit 2 together, knit 2, knit 2 together, knit 2, knit 2 together and knit 2. Very close to finishing here. Next, insert the wadding and pad out to the desired shape. Put a tiny bit more in, something like that. So the next round is a plain knit round, and for round 9, all we're doing here is knitting 2 together and knitting 1. Knitting 2 together and knitting 1. Knitting 2 together and knitting 1. Let's do the second half. Push those stitches up. I think I've got 2 stuck together. Here we are. Knit 2 together, knit 1, knit 2 together, knit 1, knit 2 together and knit 1. Now our last round, in fact I may use our 3.5mm needle from the beginning. The next round we are simply going to knit 2 together throughout. Look, 1, 2, and hopefully 3 stitches left on needle 1. Turning that around. Get your small double pointed needle and knit 2 together throughout. So we're left with 6 stitches. Is draw in the stitches using an embroidery needle to do this. And then I'll go through, in fact if you go through the wadding it makes it extra secure. So create a magic circle similar to the beginning. Put your 4mm crochet hook into that first stitch. Now I always tend to tension my hands at this point. I'm going to draw that in slightly. Right. Chain 3, 1, 2, 3. Once you've chained 3, yarn around the hook twice into the circle, pull through a loop, then work 2 loops at a time, twice, but note I'm going to leave the last stitch each time unworked. Now go in, yarn round hook twice and create a 3rd stitch. The 3 chains will count as the first stitch, so we've got 3 at the moment, and again do that a 4th time. When you have 4 stitches on your hook, pull through, slip stitch, and that creates your first bobble. Next, chain 1, and again yarn around the hook twice, go into the circle and begin a 2nd bobble. So remember we're pulling through but leaving 1 stitch. So create your 2nd stitch, yarn around the hook twice, into the magic circle, pull through once and pull through twice. Create another 2 stitches. That's number 3. Once you have 4 posts, we can pull them in tight to form a bobble. So we've got our 4 stitches, pull through, confirm with a little slip stitch, chain 1 and begin again. And as I do so, I'm going to pull that magic circle in a touch. So let's create bobble number 3. So yarn around the hook twice, into the magic circle, create that first post. Again, keep going, and when you have 4 stitches, you can draw them in. I have my 4 stitches. So form your little bubble cluster, confirm with a little slip stitch and chain 1, and we can now create our final little bobble. So yarn around the hook twice into the magic circle, pull through, bring through once, twice, and a third time for the first post. Yarn around the hook, pull through, bring through twice. That's our second stitch. Yarn around the hook, keep going. That's stitch number 3. We need one more. Right, I've got 4 stitches now. Draw them in, secure with a slip stitch, do 1 chain, and then at the top of the first bubble that we created, we are simply going to go in with a little slip stitch, like so, and we can snip that off and pull through and end by drawing in our magic circle, but we want the option of being able to open that up slightly, so we'll finish it off by stitching it around the hanger loop later. So next I'm using a 3mm hook and the leaf colour. I've joined it to a 1 chain space, and I'm going to chain 7 stitches. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. And I'm going to go into the 3rd chain now from the hook, so not counting the one on the hook itself, so that's 1, 2, 3. I'm going to go into that 3rd chain with a little slip stitch. Next, into the next stitch, I am going to do a single crochet. Into the next stitch, yarn around the hook. I'm going to pull it through the next chain, and this time I'm going to do a half double crochet, I believe. I'm going to pull that through all of those 3 stitches there to form a half double crochet. Next, yarn around the hook and create a double crochet into the next stitch, and pulling through twice. Now into the next stitch, again double crochet, and end by single crocheting into the same chain space, like so, and that creates one of the larger leaves. We're now going to create a second smaller leaf by chaining 6, so that's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, and then into the 3rd chain we'll do a little slip stitch, into the next stitch we'll do a single crochet, into the next stitch along we'll do a half double crochet where we pull through all 3 loops like so. Next, to the next stitch, double crochet, and into the same space we'll end with a single crochet, and that creates 2 little leaves. Now we have our leaves completed, we are going to go into the next space along and single crochet twice, so that counts as 1, 2. Now we'll go into the next space and create, if we go in with a slip stitch first of all, we'll now create leaf number 3, and it's going to be a small one with 6 chains. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. So go into the 3rd stitch with a slip stitch, next single crochet, next half double crochet, and lastly double crochet. And end by going into the space with a single crochet, into the next and last space, create 2 single crochets, 1, 2, and then into the base of the first leaf, join with a little slip stitch, and pull through. Draw the hanger loop through the centre and secure with little stitches. I like to partially stitch down the leaves as well, so that they curl up just at the ends. So that's our Christmas bauble complete. Thanks for watching.